Hello, everybody. Good late afternoon or early evening. We're just about to get into Thursday night football here in a few minutes, actually. Me and the Hawks Nest will be streaming shortly before the game ends to discuss this upcoming Ravens game. So if you want to talk some Seahawks Ravens pregame, hop on over either of our channels, mine, his. We'll be streaming to both. I'm also going to be streaming it to my Facebook page for the first time ever, first ever video or stream to go live on the Facebook page. So if you want to watch over there, you can do so. And yeah, we are going to talk Seahawks Ravens. Okay, so injury report for Thursday. We got the latest injury report from the VMAC for the Seahawks. Let's take a look at what we have here. Once again, it's nothing too alarming. It's pretty agreeable today. So remember, we do have one more day of practice before we really find out what's going on here. So let's take a glance and figure out what kind of team we might have on Sunday with the information that we got. So we've got two guards not participating in practice today. You've got Anthony Bradford, who went the wrong way. He was limited yesterday. Now he's not participating. Not a great sign for his availability, and we know he got hurt in that Browns game. The good news is, if all goes well, he's going to be the backup, so we may not need him. But he did go the wrong way today. That is not a great indicator of his ability to go out there on Sunday. And at this point, I kind of have to wonder if he will or not. We also have another guard who didn't participate in practice today, Damien Lewis, and he's actually a starter. Now, the good news here is that it seems to be related to an illness more than an injury. He's sick. And usually these football players, they plow their way through sicknesses very quickly. Remember, yesterday he was a full participant. He was listed with the ankle injury, but it didn't limit him in any way of being able to practice. So odds are good that he just has to beat the illness to be able to play on Sunday. And usually if you give a player in the NFL this many days to beat a sickness, he'll probably beat it. So not too worried about that. DK Metcalf got the day off. I don't think it's like he got hurt more or there's something wrong. I think it's probably just a veteran day off. And Bobby Wagner gets a very explicit day off. So they don't even list him with any kind of an injury. So that's a pretty good sign that whatever it was that was limiting him last week is out of the way now. So, I mean, Wagner played really well against the Browns. So I didn't think the injury was actually affecting him. So still pretty clean, right? We basically got one guy here that I'm genuinely concerned about, and it's Anthony Bradford, who is a backup, ideally. And we'll talk more about that in a second here. But it's not bad. Again, given the fact that we are in week 9, you can't ask for a much better injury report. So these are your DNPs. Let's take a look at the rest of the injury report here, starting with the limited participation guys. Both guys who didn't practice yesterday are limited. Lockett and Adams, which tells you that they're getting time off more than anything, and they're going to play. I don't think anybody questioned it either. I mean, the funny thing is, last week, Wagner and Lockett missed most of the week of practice and then had maybe their best games of the year. Maybe not Wagner, but he had a really good game. Lockett definitely had his best game of the year, I think. Either that or Detroit. And honestly, I think he was better against Cleveland than Detroit. Maybe not in raw numbers, but in terms of his actual effectiveness and value. So Lockett looks like he's fine. Adams looks like he's fine. Mafe remains a limited participant, but again, if you can practice in any way, shape, or form in the first couple days of practice of the week, you're probably good to go. So I think we're going to see Boye Mafe on Sunday. And full participants included. Here's the big one, Phil Haynes. He went the right way. He went from limited yesterday to a full participant today. Big news, great news. Means he's probably going to play, probably going to start at right guard, and we'll get to see most of our starting offensive line this week. Assuming Damien Lewis comes back from the illness, which he probably will, Cross, Lewis, Brown, Haynes, and then right tackle's the only position where we're not playing our designated starter. So, is what it is on that front. That may be just the way it goes for the rest of the season. But Haynes being back, I think, is big. I know people like Bradford. I know people are high on Bradford right now, but I think Haynes is a more well-rounded and less mistake-prone player right now. Also had Jarek Reed, full participant after being limited yesterday, so he should be totally fine, headed in the right direction. And yeah, there's really not anything to be super concerned about right now unless you think Damien Lewis has a long-running sickness of some kind, because we should have pretty much all the starters. The guys who are out are the guys who've been out for a while or are guys that we know are going to be out the whole season. Nwosu and Lucas. So, really good stuff from the injury report today. Great news. Ravens side of things, they also got some pretty good news today. Let's take a look at their injury report from their Twitter account or X account. Odell Beckham Jr. was a full participant after not practicing on Wednesday, so he probably got a day off as much as anything else. He's fine. Also, going from a did not practice to a full practice was Gus Edwards, one of their top running backs at this point, somebody that they kind of need. So Gus Edwards looks like he's good to go. Odafe Owe, who's a key part of that defense that has been really good so far this year, went from a did not practice to a full practice. So very positive sign for him. And Ronnie Staley also went from a DNP to a full practice. So you got to believe they're going to get all those guys on Sunday, and they're going to be much closer to full strength than it seemed like they could be on Wednesday. This was a big day for them. So beyond that, we also have the Keaton Mitchell. He continues to practice in full. No doubt he'll be there. Marcus Williams continues to be limited. I imagine he'll play, but less than 100%, I guess you could say. Daryl Worley looks like he's participating in practice fully, so he should have an opportunity to return this week. I don't know how big of an impact he'll have on the Ravens in his first week back, but seems like he'll be there. Rock Ya-Sin continues to be held out, although again, it's an illness. Usually these NFL players are ready to go when they're sick during the week. So I think he'll go. The guys that the Ravens are currently maybe a little concerned about not having would be Ben Cleveland, because he just showed up on the injury report today. Although again, it's an illness. So if it's a normal illness that NFL players typically go through very quickly, he's probably fine. And then you've got Morgan Moses, who has not practiced 2 days in a row. So maybe you can kind of count him out, but that's hardly the most important part of their team. He's not even that high on the list. So things got a lot better for the Ravens today, and they look far closer to a fully healthy team going into this game than they did yesterday. So yeah, Beckham, Edwards, Owe, Staley. Without those guys, they're not the Ravens. But with what we saw on Thursday, you got to believe they're all going to be able to play. All right, so that is about all I have. Pretty good. Again, I mean, both teams are going to be pretty close to full strength here. The guys that they're missing are guys that, it's understood. It's like leakage. It's like breakage. Sometimes stuff just breaks. But both teams look like they're going to be about as healthy as you can expect going into this game. We'll see what happens with guys like Cleveland and Damien Lewis and maybe Morgan Moses and Rock Ya-Sin. But more than likely, both teams are going to have plenty at the table to where they have no excuse to not be at their best. All right, see you guys later during the Hawks Nest stream. We're going to talk more about this game, but that is your injury report for Thursday going into Week 9.